Good day to you guys, CG Patrick here, and today's video I am going to be showing you how to create a flame effect in Blender Eevee just like this. And of course, just like before, we are going to start with a simple base shape like this. And I am going to show you how you can achieve this effect using a simple set of nodes. And to simulate the movement of the fire, we are going to use a simple deform modifier. There's a lot of things to talk about, so let's just jump right into it. Now, first thing in our viewport here, let's just delete everything. And I'm just gonna add in a spear right here. Tab into edit mode. And I'm going to shape this into something like this. So I'm just going to select this vertex here and enable this proportional editing here. And then I'm just going to drag this to right about here. Now I'm just going to delete that. And now we have our base shape for our flame. Now I'm just going to go in our shading tab here. I'm just going to darken the background. And then let's go in the properties tab and enable the bloom options here. And next, let's rename our object in the viewport very quick. Now from here, let's go and start adding our effects here. So click new and don't forget to rename our material. First thing, I'm just going to delete the principal BSDF. We're not going to be using that. And we are going to add the following node. First, let's add in a mix shader here. And let's plug this in the surface input. Next will be transparent PSDL, animation shader. And let's connect the transparent PSDF on the top and the emission on the bottom of it. Next, let's add in a color ramp node, a noise texture, and the color ramp node, let's connect this to the factor of the mix shader, and the noise texture will be in the color ramp. Now, if you have the node wrangler enabled, just Ctrl T to that to bring in the mapping node, and I'm just gonna leave this to generated. Now, let's drag this black handle of the color ramp node to right about the center here. And in the noise texture here, let's set this to about 3. And the detail to all the way to 16, and the distortion to something 3. Okay, so let's take a look at our object. And we don't want it to look like this. We want to limit only in this area. Just enough to make it look like it's a tongue of a fire. So the way we do that is adding a gradient node. So let's go back in our shading tab and let's add in a gradient texture, a color ramp node. And let's go ahead and duplicate our mapping node here. And let's connect this to our gradient texture. And since we are using the same texture coordinate for this, so I'm just going to grab this and plug this to our gradient mapping here. Now I am going to mix this together with our noise texture here. So I'm just going to bring in a mix RGB. And the noise texture will be on the top. And the gradient set of node will be on the bottom. Okay? Now in the mix here, let's set this to multiply and let's check clamp and let's drag the factor all the way to 1. Okay, now it looks like this in our viewport. We don't want that. To fix that, we have to tweak some settings in our gradient mapping here. Under rotation, at the y-axis, we need to rotate this to -90. And next, under location here, just drag the x-axis here to right about 1.6. Okay. Now this is the base setup for our flame. Now what's actually happening here in our node setup? By connecting this noise setup here in our mix factor, we are telling Blender to distribute these two shader here, the transparent VSDF and the emission shader, to a specific value, which means the black will be the transparent and the white value will be the emission shader. Alright? Now you know you can use this idea to any of your project or basically every time you use the nodes. Okay? So now to complete the effect, let's enable our transparency option. So press N on the keyboard. Here where it says option, let's change the blend mode to alpha blend. Okay? And now it will look like this in our viewport. Now next, let's change the color of our emission to something red like this. And of course, let's increase the strength of our emission here to about 50. Okay, looking very nice. Now next, let's animate our flame here. Of course, we want to move the flame in this direction. So first, let me duplicate our screen here and switch this to timeline. And I'm gonna go here in our noise texture mapping. Under location, at the Z axis, we are going to animate this like this. Take a look at that. Looks so beautiful already. Now I'm going to animate that. Make sure you are in frame 1. And I'm going to press I in the keyboard while my mouse cursor is on it. That will set a keyframe to that. And I'm gonna drag the timeline to 250. Go back in our mapping here, and I am going to set this to -10 like this. And press I again to insert keyframe to that. And let's see what we get. Oh, nice! Look at that! Looking so pro already, with just a few steps. But not yet. We are going to add more movement to this to simulate the movement of the fire. So the way we achieve that is by adding some few modifier stacks. So go here in our Modifiers tab, and the first modifier that I am going to add is the subsurf modifier. And I'm just gonna leave the render to 1 only. And next modifier will be the wave modifier. And if we hit play to that, it will move crazy like this. We don't want that. So let's go ahead and check the normals X, Y, and Z. And here at the height, let's narrow that to 0.1 and the speed to about 0.10. And here in the width, I'm just gonna set this to 0.9. Okay. And for the next movement, I want the fire to move back and forth in X-axis like this, and in Y-axis also like this. So the way we achieve that is by adding a simple deform modifier, and by default, it is set to twist. Let's change that to bend, and let's just leave this to X-axis for now. And here in deform angle, we are going to set a keyframe to this one. So make sure you are in frame 1 here. While hovering over our mouse cursor to this, let's press I to insert a keyframe to that. And it will turn yellow like this. It means there's a keyframe. And I'm just gonna click this to duplicate that modifier. And this time, I'm going to set the axis to Y and make sure you are in frame 1. And we are going to set another keyframe to our deform angle like this. And now to finish the movement, we are going to add a noise modifier to this. So go here and switch the window to graph editor and select our X-axis angle first. Press N in the keyboard, and under modifiers, let's add a noise. And now if you hit play, it will move like this. And now let's change a few settings here. In the scale, set this to about 6, and the strength to 3, and the depth, let's leave it to 1. Okay. And next, let's copy this noise modifier to Y-axis. So click this icon right here, and then select the Y-axis and press this icon to paste the modifier. And then it's just a matter of changing the offset here to give it a little bit of variation. From here, you can call it finished, but let's add a little bit more layers to it by duplicating our object in the viewport. So what I'm going to do is select our fire here and Shift D to duplicate that. Tab into edit mode, and I am just gonna scale it like this. Alright, now I'm gonna go back to our shading tab here, and I'm just gonna click this icon right here to duplicate the material. This is important. And now we can edit our duplicated material here. I'm just gonna tweak this color ramp here to right about there, okay? And here in our noise, I'm just gonna tweak this to 0.9. And in the color ramp, I'm just gonna tweak this a little bit more. Alright, much better. Now I'm just gonna duplicate it again, tab into edit mode, and I'm just gonna scale it like this. And I'm going to delete the half of it and scale it like this. And then don't forget to click this icon right here to duplicate the material. And here in our emission, I'm just gonna set this to 0.3 and change this to white. Alright, now you see how it looks like. Very nice. And that's how you create a fire without volumetrics in Blender Eevee. Take a look at that. How nice, really. And it's real time. Now with this idea, you can be more creative with this one. In this case, I just created this object right here. If you watch my previous video right here, I did the same process. So if you want to learn how to do this, go watch this video. I also have a lot of tips in there. So now it's up to you to put your own personality on it. And if you want more tips, follow this guy right here, Design School Online. He uploaded a Blender tip video, a whopping 100 Blender 2.8 tips. That is very helpful. So if you want to speed up your work, I recommend to watch that video. It helps a lot. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to me. So that's all about it, guys. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it. I hope you learn a lot. If you do, please like, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do click that subscribe button and that bell button so you don't miss my future tutorial. So yeah, see you in my next video. Bye.